last video update I did on Jillustrations was undoubtedly the best series of days I had in this challenge. Coming off from the excitement of that, I had really high hopes for day 17. I had so many things on my list to do. I was feeling really motivated, really ready to do. I had an idea right off the bat and I was ready to get right into it. I was really excited for it. It all started off so nicely until it all kind of fell apart. And everything else was very quick to follow. Let's get right into how this unfortunate event all started. Enjoy! Turns out I was right earlier when I said that I probably wouldn't be able to get near as much done as I wanted to today. I did some editing, but I kind of ran into a problem with trying to figure out how to structure things, I guess. And not only did that kind of go a little bit haywire, but my illustration, well, suffice it to say, I really don't like it at all, and I'm just not gonna be able to live with myself if I don't just do something else. Unfortunately, it's exactly 11:25, which means it's getting kind of late, and I definitely don't want to work on the same idea I had again, because I feel like I'm just going to be frustrated with it and I'm just going to want to rush through it. So I'm having to come up with a different idea, hopefully something that's really short and quick. Not the smoothest day, not the most productive day. There was a lot of procrastination involved, unfortunately, and here I am at 11:25 and I still have to finish and start my next illustration. The good news is, literally as I was filming that last update, I immediately thought of an idea and I immediately got to work on that idea, and it turned out really good considering how little time I spent on it, how little it was planned, and just in general. This little picture of some very cartoony squirrels. The bad news is I had to spend a little too much time waiting for paint to dry. And it's almost 1 o'clock. In fact, even though this paper is dry to the touch, you can definitely feel when you try drawing on it that it's a little bit damp still, but I kept on going because it is so late. It just wasn't worth the trouble of waiting for it, and I wasn't looking for like really good shading either, so I just did it really lightly, tried really hard not to tear up the paper, and somehow succeeded. But yeah, it's definitely bedtime now. Hopefully things go a little more according to plan tomorrow. Late night equals probably not very much productivity, so... Hello guys, it's July 18th today, and today's going to be a bit of a different day. I'm not going to even try to get my illustration done this morning or even in the afternoon. I'm actually going to purposely wait until the evening to do it, and I'm not even going to plan for it at all. And you might be thinking, wow, that sounds really stupid. And maybe it is. Maybe this is a bad idea. Me and my family are going to this place in British Columbia called the Ancient Forest this evening. It's an inland rainforest. And my plan is I'm going to take my art supplies along with me and draw an illustration using the ancient forest as a sort of reference for what I'm doing. And the reason why I'm doing this is, one, it seems like a fun idea, and two, because I have so many things, going to the ancient forest is going to be, it's going to be a bit of lost time as far as work is concerned. So I want to get all the stuff that I will not be able to do out of the way. I want to get like all my video editing done, which I really need to get done and I'm far too behind on. But doing the illustration, as long as I bring my art supplies, I can do that. The one thing I'm most worried about, I guess, is the filming situation. I know I'll be able to take pictures and videos of the ancient forest, which I'm really excited to show you guys because it's a very beautiful place. But I'm a little worried about filming the actual illustration because, unfortunately, I don't really have the filming set up to do, like, anything. I don't have any tripods. I can't draw with one hand. Basically, I don't really know how that's gonna work out. But, we'll see. And the most important thing is that I get the illustration done and that I get as much editing done as possible before I go. This is where it all fell apart. Our original plan was to eat dinner at the ancient forest, and that was when I was going to be doing the illustration. But apparently, and I didn't know this at the time, but the picnic setup with all the picnic tables isn't really the greatest at the ancient forest. All that stuff is located outside of the actual forest, so you get a nice view of the parking lot. So instead we decided to stop somewhere along the way at a lake and eat there. And we ate pretty quickly, so I wouldn't have had a lot of time to work on the illustration anyway. But let's be honest, it's mostly my fault. I wanted to stick to my original idea of drawing something inspired by the forest, and since I hadn't gone there yet, I wasn't inspired by it. Basically, if you watched any of my videos, you'll know I'm not much of a planner, really. I'm not very good at it. And so I didn't really take into account the fact that once I got to the ancient forest, I'd probably be walking for the entire time. Maybe it crossed my head, but I didn't really think anything of it. And I thought, I mean, if worse comes to worse, I could always draw it at home and then I could actually film it. So it's not that bad of an idea, right? Wrong. It was a very bad idea, and I should have known. When I got to the ancient forest, I walked for the rest of the time, and when I got home, I was just so tired. And I just wanted to go to bed. I had literally no kind of motivation whatsoever. I had really no idea of what to do. I had some really vague ideas, but all of them, I just knew they would take far too much time and thought to really make them into something I was happy with. So I went for something very generic, very just whatever, and tried to draw a girl that was somewhat inspired by trees. Like, I guess, I don't even know, like, I guess her hair was supposed to be sort of root-ish looking. I don't really think it gets that across at all, but that's like the amount of effort I was willing to put in it. I was feeling so motivated that I didn't even draw a face. I'm not mad at the drawing. Looking back at it, I think it looks actually kind of nice. But at the same time, looking at the plans I had for that day, it's nothing like I was expecting at all. And I think this was really like the catalyst for the whole rest of the week just falling completely flat. Even before all of this happened, I was feeling on the verge of, I guess, like, I don't know what to call it, other than somewhat of a mini burnout. I felt it coming on for a while, even at the very beginning of this challenge, simply because I got off to such a rough start without having ideas, staying up really late, and just feeling a bunch of pressure to do things that are way, way, way out of my comfort zone. I hate quitting. So even me thinking that that was a possibility was kind of like, oh my, this is not good. And I think what really held this back was my previous video, days 10 to 16, where I really tried to get things done on time, and I was starting to feel a lot more motivated and inspired, and I was creating stuff that I was a lot more happy with. That really helped a lot, but it's still, like, I was still putting a lot of pressure on myself. I just had a big workload. And on day 18, it finally all caught up to me, and I kind of, like, I didn't quit the challenge. Spoilers. I kept on going, but I dropped basically everything but just doing basic illustrations and a little bit of editing. I didn't do updates. I didn't do anything else I was really supposed to do. I think subconsciously I stopped all these things because I knew that if I did any of those, like, I just wouldn't be able to handle it. I would just end up quitting. I didn't even realize, probably for like 3 or so days, that I wasn't doing updates. I was just like, wait, when's the last time I've updated? Oh no. But then I decided, you know what, it's fine. Like, I'm going to stop being so perfectionistic and thinking that every single thing that I make in this challenge has to be the best I can possibly do. Because I think that was one of the biggest problems, is like, for this challenge, I was going way out of my comfort zone. I wasn't doing it in a style I'm used to doing. I'm not used to, like, chronicling these things in video form, so, like, even editing this stuff was just, like, it was very new to me. I had to figure that out. Just so many things. Usually when I experiment, it's like I'm changing a little bit of what I do, but it's still almost entirely in my comfort zone. Like, maybe I'll try a medium that I'm not very familiar with, but I'm still doing something I'm very comfortable with. This was extremely new in so many ways, and I was still expecting myself to do, like, a really good job, like, too good of a job, for what, like, for my skill level, for the amount of time I had, and just, like, in general. This is when I finally decided, like, why am I putting all this pressure on myself? It's just, like, it's completely unnecessary. And it was a really good feeling in a lot of ways. Like, even though I was feeling so exhausted and not very motivated, it was a really good feeling just to be able to sit down every day and do something simple and not worry about, oh, is this good? That wasn't even the point of the challenge. It wasn't to create, like, super good illustrations. It was about making myself feel comfortable with doing things that before were kind of scary to me and that I just didn't know how to approach, and whenever I tried to do them, I would always, like, you know, put them off because I had no clue what I was doing. I wanted to kind of almost force myself to become comfortable with it. But even though I was trying to do that, you still want to make it as, like, enjoyable for yourself as possible, and not to put more pressure on yourself than you need to, because then, like, it kind of ruins the point of getting comfortable with it if you just make it a bad experience for yourself. So I should have done it a long time ago, but I'm a perfectionist, so I guess what I need to do more often is just burn out. That's clearly the solution. Now, here's the thing. As good as that was, I kind of feel like maybe it was the wrong decision. I'm not talking about, like, I should have kept on doing, you know, like, trying really hard to make the best possible things and spending all my time and energy into that. No, actually, it's more like the opposite. Part of me thinks I should have gone more to the extreme instead of just making it easier for myself. Part of me thinks that I should have just quit. I fight so hard against that kind of thing. But, you know, like they always say, just keep going, don't ever give up. But I say, you know what, sometimes it's actually a good idea to give up. And maybe this was one of those times. But it didn't even really cross my mind that maybe you are burning out. Maybe you should just stop and give yourself a break and maybe do this another time. Or, like, you know what, several weeks of just doing illustrations. That's pretty good too. That might just be enough to serve your purposes. Like, it's not the end of the world if you quit something. It's easy to say that for me. It's not so easy to actually do it. Especially when you're in a situation where you tell people that you're going to be making content for it, and then you're suddenly like, no, I decided to just drop it. Did I do the right thing? Should I have just given up? I don't know. Probably. I probably should have. But another part of me is like, well, those last 2 weeks of Jillustrations, they weren't that bad, actually. It was really refreshing to take the pressure off of myself and just sit down and do simple illustrations and not really worry about it or what I was going to do with the content on my videos or whatever. Like, that was really nice, and I feel like it was valuable. What I got from the challenge was very valuable, and it wasn't something I would have gotten if I just quit. But at the same time, I think I was just so exhausted from the challenge, even despite those weeks. And I definitely felt that, especially after the challenge was over, I was just so dead. So another part of me is like, yeah, that's all nice and great, but it probably wasn't the best thing overall. I can, in the future, set up the challenges I do in a lot better of a way and not put so much pressure on myself, or just be a lot more prepared with ideas and with, like, being ready to not procrastinate and really working against that like I did in my last video. Like, I can use this as a learning experience. I'm kind of glad I didn't quit. As much as I think it might not have been the smartest decision, I am really glad that I didn't. I'm really glad I could push through this and get all the illustrations done because of how much it helped me. And maybe if I had stopped, I would feel exactly the same way about stopping. But I mean, like, if you did things one way, you might as well be content about it, I guess. So, I'm not really sure how to end this video, because it doesn't really seem like there's much of a conclusion. This is just what was going on in these days, and what I think about it. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching if you got through all of this. I will have the next video, hopefully the last video, up next week on my channel, so make sure you subscribe for that if you haven't already. And I am so excited to get these Jillustration videos done so that I can show you all of the other exciting new content I have been doing. Alright, I'll see you next week. Bye.